Alright, I really didn't want to have to do this, but let's talk about the Crystal Hollows. Let's just get this out of the way right now. There is a massive difference between creating currency and earning currency through player-to-player trading. Allow me to elaborate. When you gather an item or a resource in Hypixel Skyblock, and then you sell it to an NPC, you're creating currency that did not exist before. For example, if you mine with an absolutely maxed out setup in the Crystal Hollows pre-update, you could mine enough resources to sell to an NPC to create 80 million coins. This removes the resources created by mining, and in turn creates new currency that was not in circulation before. We'll call currency being generated this way a gold faucet. Think of a bathroom sink with the water running. The more gold faucets that exist in the game, the stronger the stream of water running into the sink. The worse inflation gets on the server, the more full the sink becomes. If the sink overflows, the buying power of currency plummets, and we experience something called hyperinflation. Another way to explain this is when a country's economy is in shambles for one reason or another, and they decide to start printing more money to try and fix the problem. Zimbabwe had something similar happen around 2007 through 2009. Printing more currency lowered the buying power of their currency so far that their peak month of inflation was estimated at 79.6 billion%. By April of 2009, Zimbabwe stopped printing its own currency altogether and used currency from other countries. If inflation in Skyblock were to get that bad, we would stop using coins as currency and start using other items and resources instead. Imagine a future Skyblock where maybe god potions or other bit items were the main form of currency instead of coins because they're tied to an out-of-game currency. Maybe a Necron handle might cost 2,500 god potions, and a god potion itself might be 100 million coins since in-game currency would have lost most of its value. Now this is an extreme example to try and explain the problem, but I have played MMORPGs that have devolved to this point before. So how do video game economies counter gold faucets? 2 words: gold sinks. Gold sinks are a way that a game can remove currency from circulation, effectively draining the sink before it overflows. Skyblock does have a few gold sinks: the dark auctions, dungeon chests, the bazaar and auction house, just to name a few. The problem is, even before the Crystal Hollows came out, they couldn't keep up with things like Nether Wart farming bringing 5 million coins an hour into circulation. When you sell items or resources to another player through the bazaar or auction house, there are taxes in place that remove a small amount of currency from circulation, and you earn your money by currency that already existed in the server changing hands from the buyer to the seller. For example, when you run floor 7 and you get an S+ run, and by some miracle you get a Necron handle in a chest, you aren't creating 500 million coins. No new currency is entering circulation. You're actually removing 35 million coins from the economy in order to buy the Necron handle from the dungeon chest. When you sell that handle in the auction house, currency is removed from the server in the form of listing fees and taxes, and you earn your money by currency that already existed changing hands from the buyer to you. Now I know this seems like really basic information to some of you, but there are people who don't understand why this is an important distinction, and it'll be the basis of my whole point in regards to the Crystal Hollows situation. Remember, the more currency there is in circulation, the lower the buying power of that currency. This means that items will rise in price proportionately. Now that we've got all that straight, we can talk about why the NPC buy price for resources from the Crystal Hollows is terrible for the longevity of Skyblock in its current state. The Hypixel devs have decided to nerf the NPC buy price of gems by half, meaning that with a perfect setup, you can still generate up to 40 million coins per hour. This is 8 times the amount generated by the next biggest offender, Nether Wart. And remember, as I said earlier, there are not enough gold sinks in place to effectively manage the Nether Wart faucet in the first place. Adding a method that can generate 8 times as much currency speeds up server inflation by an incredible amount, and that's not even taking into account that this was twice as bad for over 2 months. To give some examples of affected items, I bought a Necron handle about 3 months ago on my main profile for a little over 350 million coins. The cheapest one on the auction house at the time of writing this is 520 million. That's a 48.5% increase over 3 months. At that rate of inflation, a Necron handle will cost around 770 million coins by December, and it'll cost over 1 billion coins by early next year. Now, I strongly believe that cookie prices are manipulated by the devs, but if I am mistaken in that, and they suffer from the same amount of inflation, one buff cookie will cost 4.4 million coins by December, and they'll hit 6 million coins early next year. I see a lot of players complaining that nerfing mining income is bad because they want to be rich, or maybe they've invested a lot into their mining setup, and I understand their problems, I really do. But the problem with that take is that it's an extremely selfish one. To paraphrase a line from The Incredibles, if everyone is rich, no one is rich. If everyone has billions of coins, no one's coins are going to be worth anything. I know a lot of people might not agree with me, and I expect this video to get a lot of dislikes, but I think the 50% nerf is an absolute joke. Just to put it in line with Nether Wart, it would have had to been lowered by about 16 times. I think given the difficulty of obtaining some of the best mining items, this would have been a little bit too heavy-handed. I think the original accidental nerf of 8 times less money from gemstones would have actually been perfect. With a maxed out Heart of the Mountain tree and a fairly affordable setup like a gemstone gauntlet and armor with pristine from topaz sockets, it still would have made more than Nether Wart without completely destroying the server over the next 6 months. There are a few things that Hypixel could add in the form of gold sinks, but nothing they would realistically add could possibly keep up with this problem. If you have an extreme gold faucet, you need to have an extreme gold sink to counter it. Here's an example of what an extreme gold sink might look like. Remove keep coins on death from cookies. Remove the bank enchantment. Remove the piggy bank accessory. And make banks take a small percent of your stored money away instead of giving you interest. Obviously, the player base would revolt if they did this. I'm just giving you an example of what I think an extreme gold sink would look like to counter a gold faucet of this degree. Anyway, I think I've rambled just about enough. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you've enjoyed this rant about Skyblock's economy, don't forget to like and subscribe. I live stream every day around 1 PM EST on this channel as well, so drop by and chat sometime.